Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today I want to talk about this Tarkin kit reveal. I'm just going to kind of cover it in-game. I'm not going to pull up the post on the forums. I want to talk about the Tarkin kit reveal, but in particular, cover why I think this is such an important update for free-to-play, explain how well I think they did this, talk about the what this means for your account if you have Grand Moff Tarkin, if you don't have him, what does this mean for your clones, and then finally, if you're someone who has wailed on these guys, if you are someone who is actively going after these clones, how do you end up using them? Is it just Tarkin getting thrown to the side, or how best to utilize this update to your account? And I think that answer will change based on where you are on the totem pole of Swago. So I want to kind of break this down a little bit. Please like and subscribe. I want to give a shout out to my channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you're ever interested, link below, along with a link to our Discord. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me through good takes, bad takes. What are those? Egnards called me out for them. I don't know that I have any. Just kidding. I know I do. But that's why you guys are here, is because you guys appreciate all of the content I put out. I really appreciate it. You guys you make this channel better, and I can't thank you enough for all that you do. So let's get in here, guys. Let's talk about Tarkin and these dark side clones and how I think this is one of the best impacts, one of the best releases for the free-to-play community. So with Grandma Tarkin, right, with this new character that we've gotten, or, the rework that we've gotten, I want to kind of go back to two other reworks that we have gotten in the game, two very high-profile reworks. The first one is Darth Vader's. With Darth Vader, we got Merciless Massacre, we got No Escape. Both of these added a Zeta, both of these added... there's two new abilities here, both of which added a Zeta to him, where he already had a Zeta on his leadership ability. So, when we got these additional things, it was more you had to invest in Lord Vader. In Darth Vader, right? Darth Vader, it was 2 extra Zetas you had to invest in order to bring this character to where they intended him, right? All new abilities, which means, the Omegas, all the other mats had to get invested. And while I can't envision Darth Vader without either of those two things, you understand when I say this that the rework was contingent on you having those materials. So just imagine that this rework happened today where they added 2 more abilities to Darth Vader. How many of you would have the materials to put more Zetas on him, put some additional Omicrons? There's some food, just think about that. And it's a similar situation with Mace Windu. When you go to Mace Windu, he also received a rework. I know some people don't remember that because you haven't played the game that long. But Mace Windu went from, I don't even remember if he had a single Zeta, to now he has 3 of them. So it felt, again, very similar to the situation of Darth Vader. You had to add all these extra materials and all these extra Zetas in order to have this character, in order to build him up. And so it just felt very much like... Again, one of those things where, do you have the Omicrons? Do you have the materials to do it? When you go to Grandma Tarkin now, and we look at his rework, they did not add anything other than an Omicron for 3v3 on the leadership. Everything else remained the same. Instead of adding new abilities, they simply beefed up all of his existing ones. And that, I think, was a masterpiece. I feel this works so well, because if you're someone who's bought a Lightspeed bundle before or whatever, all the abilities are here. If you're someone who geared this guy up and had his Omicron or had his Zetas for years, they're still there, and they work with the new stuff. They didn't take it away. It's there. They just made it better, and I really like that. I think it's fantastic. So I want to give them a lot of credit that instead of trying to make new abilities and make you spend extra Zetas and stuff, the only option or the only decision you have to make, do I want to add a 3v3 Omicron for him, which I'm going to tell you, you are going to want to do, as long as you're going to use him with those dark side clones, which why would you use him, anywhere else, right? with his kit, what I really want to pay attention to is all the ways that this ties into a few things. It's going to deal 10% damage from each active ally and an additional 10% for each active Darkside Clone Trooper. Now, I will say, this is very similar to the Zam Wessel situation. This will deal more damage in 5v5 than 3v3, barring you're using Darkside clones. So if I'm used to using 4 other Darkside clones in 5v5, we switch over to 3v3, I'm not gaining as much extra damage from that. And then you're stacking your potency until Ultimate Firepower is used. Ultimate Firepower is your special here. You're going to deal special damage to all enemies, remove 50% of their turn meter. This attack deals more damage equal to Tarkin's, double Tarkin's potency percentage. I gotta say, I don't like the way that's worded, because it used to be like, this attack deals damage based, equal to, the wording there seems a little bit clunky, like deals more damage equal to, that's a little bit linguistically, I'm not sure I like that phrasing, but I do think they've tried to match their phrasing across the board, so I think more stuff does sound like that, which just sounds confusing to me. If all other allies are Darkside clones, deal an additional instance of damage equal to double Tarkin's potency percentage. That's a little bit more of what I'm used to, deal an additional instance of damage equal to double his potency percentage. Sort of makes sense there, right? So this is obviously massive rework to this ability. Really, really good. You have Intimidation Tactics. Gain potency up, and Empire allies gain tactical supremacy. The big thing there, tactical supremacy, is in the Admiral Trench kit. The biggest parts of that, in my opinion, are 30% critical damage and 30% potency. So you're going to get potency up, then you're going to give yourself extra potency and extra critical damage before then eventually unleashing the nuke of ultimate firepower. So I like this a lot. I think that's a very, very good ability. Then on Tighten the Grip. So here, they added in some max health and max protection along with additional speed, and then inflict defense down and expose for 2 turns on enemies that fall below 100% health during Empire allies' turns, which can't be resisted. That's always been there. This last part has always been there. They added the health and protection. They've always had the speed. While in 3v3, and if all other allies are clone troopers, they gain stealth. Darkside supports stealth for 2 turns. Darkside tanks protection up. Bear in mind, you're going to use Oppo and CX2 with Lord Vader, Scorch, and Disguised Clone Trooper with Tarkin. That's the way this is intended. And Scorch gains 5 stacks of Bulwark. Whenever they use a basic, Tarkin, or use a special, Tarkin assists. Whenever he uses his basic, he gains extra potency percentage. So the more those guys are using their specials, the more that Tarkin's potency is ramping up. Whenever an enemy invades or resists a debuff, Tarkin gains turn meter and recovers health. When Intimidation Tactics is used, this is huge. Dispel buffs on all enemies and daze them for 2 turns. Whenever Ultimate Firepower is used, inflict fear on all enemies for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, or resisted. Enemies can't be revived. That right there, this last line is so crazy, because this tells you everything you need to know about this team and what they're going to be capable of. This is a direct call-out counter to Admiral Raddus and the Rogue One team, where you can be whittling them down, and as long as Adrad calls in his ultimate, everybody comes back to life. I think this is going to be a hard counter to that team, and I'm very excited about it. And then finally, Callous Conviction. There's a lot of really good stuff in here where he's gaining extra potency percentage, right? Here's the big one that I really like. Whenever an Empire ally inflicts a debuff, Tarkin recovers 5% health and protection. And he's going to gain potency, and Tarkin gains defense equal to his potency and 20% potency stacking for each debuffed enemy. So I want you guys just to recognize something about this. And again, he's going to gain potency for each other Empire ally. What I like is that, yes, while a lot of this kit is designed around these new clones, there's still a lot of ways to use Grandma Tarkin here with regular Empire units, whether you're going to use them with Emperor Palpatine or Darth Vader or, Mara Jade. there's a lot of ways that he's still going to be a very good character. So I think what's really good about that, if you're free to play, you don't have the resources to do all these other things, you still have a chance to be able to utilize Tarkin in a meaningful part of your account, because they didn't just limit some of the major changes to Dark Side clones. They added a lot of things to make sure that Tarkin is still going to hit well. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, not go full kit, but just go, not go full kit, but just talk a bit. But why is this the best ever free-to-play release, in my opinion? And it comes down to a couple of reasons. Number one, this Darkside Clones team opens up a lot of possibilities outside of the raid. You can use them with Lord Vader, which is their intended purpose. And if you're someone inside of Kyber 1, higher levels of Kyber 2, this is what you're going to do. You have all the tools in your account to beat whatever the other person has, so you're just going to want your best teams on defense or your best teams for offense. But if you're in Kyber 3 and below, you're getting Lord Vader for the first time, you've got some of these other characters built up here, I wouldn't hate if you kept Grandma Tarkin with the clones and kept Lord Vader with his original team, because the Lord Vader team is still good enough to be used. So why I think this is such a great free-to-play release is because it's not just Tarkin that's getting this boost, it's also the fact that this team has the flexibility to be used by both him and Lord Vader. One of the common problems I felt Capital Games and some of the new things in SWGO have run into is over-specification, over-specified. You need this. You need this. You have to be this. You have to be that. Here it's, all right, Tarkin or Lord Vader. There's still an option. There's still a choice. Yes, most of it has been made for you, but that's better than a lot of the times that we get where you've got, I always bring this one up, is your Gungan faction. What the hell am I supposed to do with these two other Gungans in 3v3? 5v5, I get it. But 3v3, what the hell am I supposed to do? Right? Where, again, with, Darth Vader, the clones and stuff, there's a legitimate chance that if you don't use the clones with Lord Vader, you're going to use them with Tarkin and vice versa. So I like this a lot. I think it really does help bring some players potentially into the fold who maybe weren't there before. Because I think the clones have been very popular. Obviously, they're iconic. And I think their performance is already off the charts. Now, I have seen some footage from Rabid Beaver. Shout out Rabid Beaver. Where his Tarkin was doing some crazy things. I think a lot of people are seeing that. I don't know if Tarkin's going to get nerfed or not. I can't imagine that they want to do too much with the upcoming raid. So we will have to kind of see what that means. But right now, he's looking really good. And I think, again, this is the best free-to-play release ever from the standpoint of from a full faction of characters. When you think about what this is 4 units. The reason I say this is one of the best free-to-play ever, if not the best free-to-play release ever, comes down to their flexibility that you don't need them, like they're a GL team or they're a Tarkin team. And there's a lot of these characters in the game who, outside of their galactic legend, just terrible, right? Just not good. Dog doo-doo. Where these guys with Tarkin are going to be good. So I at least wanted to bring this up and talk to you guys a little bit. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.